What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I have a super special unboxing to do, and I probably say that in every video just for viewer retention, but this time I mean it because, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is an HMS Beyblade. This is from, I believe, 2004, given that this is the Hasbro release of this particular Beyblade, and I think those came out and ended around 2004, but this is from a very late stage in the original Plastic Gen series of Beyblade. So this is very old, probably pretty rare as well, but this is Advance Guardian MS. And in this case, because I know a lot of HMS Beyblades with the MS on the end, that typically stands for something. As far as I know, Advanced Guardian MS, that doesn't stand for anything, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but who knows? If I am wrong and someone much wiser is watching, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. On the side here, there are other recommendations for HMS Beyblades that Hasbro says you should pick up for, customization. On the back goes over all of the parts. This is a 2-scale image of the Beyblade itself. These are all of the parts that come with it, and I'll get into those as I get into it. On the side is a rating of all of the different parts and what they do best. So the attack ring, Advanced Guardian, has a 3-star for attack, which is pretty high for a defense type, 4-star for defense, and 2-star for endurance, or what we now know as stamina. The weight disc has 2 stars for attack, 2 stars for defense, and 1 star for endurance. The blade base, which is funny, because HMS Beyblades don't use blade bases, and I'll get into that as well, has 1 star for attack, which, I mean, I guess if 1 star is the lowest rating, like if 0 stars isn't available, then yes, that is accurate. 4 stars for defense, which, yeah, probably, and 1 star for stamina, which, again, is believable. So back to the front. On the top here, actually, I missed that. It's pretty dusty, regardless. Defensive spinners deflect part of your opponent's attack. Launcher and ripcord included. Assembly required. No tools needed. See instructions. So that's exciting. So now, I'm just going to figure out... There's a tab on the bottom here. It's covered by a small piece of tape, so I'm going to cut into that. And this is the part of the video where I remind you guys to be safe with scissors. And my dog is barking. That's wonderful. So now, how do I go about opening this? This is new to me. I've never opened a Hasbro HMS Beyblade before. I think I've opened every other kind of Beyblade, come to think of it. Except for actually Hasbro Plastic Gen, because I've opened Takara Tomy Plastic Gen, Takara Tomy HMS, Takara Tomy and Hasbro Metal Fight. I think I've opened maybe 3 Hasbro Burst releases in total. I don't like Hasbro's Burst system. Takara Tomy Burst, which I've opened countless of, and you've seen that on the channel if you're a longtime viewer, and Hasbro and Takara Tomy Beyblade X. So after this, I will have one more kind of Beyblade packaging to open before I've done everything. So now I think I just got to pull this out. There's more tape here. This is one of those boxes that I really don't want to desecrate, because this is a very unique box to my collection, and I want to display this to the best of my ability. Which means, oh, that's not, there we go, okay. Which means I do want to be very careful with this. So, now that that is open, there's all the goods. As promised, a launcher, which is pretty sweet, because I only have one other HMS launcher, and it's pretty beaten up, so this is nice to have. Stickers, instruction manual, and a winder for the launcher, which is miraculously unbroken, which is, again, very nice because this is a proprietary winder. Unlike the other Plastic Gen launcher winders, these are not compatible with any other launcher on the market. So this is very nice. I don't think I'm going to need the scissors for this. There we go. So here's the launcher, and these, to my knowledge, are the first dual spin launchers in Beyblade history, because every other Plastic Gen Beyblade was technically dual spin because of the way the spin gear system worked. However, there were not dual spin launchers because, you know, left spin gears and right spin gears were exclusive. You couldn't have a dual spin Plastic Gen Beyblade, with a couple of exceptions, and I might make a video on that because I own the very first dual spin Beyblade. So these were the first dual spin launchers. See, there's two slots for the winder to go in. There's one there for right spin because the gear and the winder are connected, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that way, which means if my camera feels like, there we go, it spins to the right. And that sounds interesting. There's a hair stuck to the launcher. I'm going to take care of that real quick. And then if you put it in here, this is left spin, which is very nice because you really only need 1 or 2 HMS launchers. That being said, I'm going to get as many as I possibly can because, again, launchers break, things break. I want more of these. But realistically, you don't need to buy too many launchers. At least you didn't back in the day, is what I'm trying to say. You didn't need to buy too many launchers because with Plastic Gen, you had to have separate launchers, one right spin, one left spin, and it was the same way for most of Metal Fight as well. You get the point. This does it all. That being said, I need an HMS launcher grip so bad because I've got, again, this is my second HMS launcher, and I only have 3 other HMS Beyblades. 2 of them I got for Christmas, which was yesterday at the time of recording. So I do really want to get into HMS, but I'm going to need a launcher grip. Anyway, moving on. In here is what everybody came for. This is all of the parts to Advanced Guardian MS. So I'm going to pour that out. We're just going to go top down. This is a HMS, I think it's a bit chip, bit protector. I've heard emblem protector, bit emblem. I've heard all sorts of things to name this piece. But this is effectively the face bolt. For Metal Fight fans, this is, I don't really know what to compare it to for Burst. And for Plastic Gen, it's kind of like the bit chip. Again, why it's called bit chip by some people, but this actually does hold the whole Beyblade together, similar to a Metal Fight face bolt, which is why I cited that. Moving on, this is the attack ring for Advanced Guardian, and this is a lot lighter than I expected. There's not too much metal on the outside. This actually looks pretty light, which for defense, I don't think would go very well with its like high recoil design here. Like this looks like it would smack, like something would get caught in there, and very high recoil. That being said, I have yet to find out, and I look forward to finding out. On the sides here, under these screws, are little free spinning rollers. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but it is moving. And Burst fans might recognize this gimmick from the Satan Beyblades, and you would be right to do so. This is exactly what Christ Satan and Curse Satan did in Beyblade Burst. I don't believe this gimmick was present in Metal Fight other than the TR-145 spin track or triple roller, which just had 3 of these, except they were plastic instead of metal. These are only metal because HMS tried to emphasize metal contact points despite the very clear plastic contact. Regardless, this is very similar to Roller Defensor, which was a pre-spin gear attack ring. that I do kind of want to get my hands on and maybe do a video on. I wouldn't be able to do an unboxing. I'm sure all of them are out of box, and to get it in box would be crazy expensive. But regardless, moving on, because I think I've said everything there is to say about this AR. In short, this roller gimmick carried over to Burst for the Satan Beyblades, and this is basically just HMS Roller Defensor. Moving on is Circle Heavy. So this is one out of the 3 circle weight discs in HMS, being just like Plastic Gen, heavy, balance, and wide. And I do have balance and wide, and I might show them off in a little bit, but this is the heaviest of the circle weight discs and also the smallest of the circle weight discs. So all of the weight is very compact. That was the word I was looking for, not smallest. This is the most compact of the circle weight discs. But it also has these little nubs on the side, which are not present in circle balance and circle wide. So that's really interesting. I don't think those really like provide anything. If they do increase recoil by any amount, which I doubt, but regardless, I'm sure it's negated by the weight. So whatever. We're going to move on. The running core, I actually don't know what this is called. Not off the top of my head. I'll have to check HMSDB, which I will link in the description, actually, now that I think about it. It's a very helpful website if you're trying to get into HMS, if you like HMS, etc., especially competitive. There's a lot of competitive jargon on that website, for lack of a better word, off the top of my head. I'm hungry. I'm tired. Forgive me. I'm going to struggle a little bit, in case you haven't already noticed. So this is a rubber spike, very similar to the one on Seaborg 1. The Metal Fight fans, you might recognize this from Grand Cetus or Grand Katos, depending on what name you prefer. Burst, I don't know. Yes, there was. The Zeal driver from King Helios MR was a rubber spike. And I just realized it took them until the very last season of Burst to make a rubber spike driver, which is interesting. And we have yet to see this in Beyblade X, unless between me recording this and me uploading this, which, judging by the amount of unuploaded unboxing footage, is very possible. There might be a rubber needle in Beyblade X. Who knows? I kind of hope they do that, but also I wouldn't mind if they didn't. Regardless, this is basically the tip, the blade base, as the box called it, of HMS. This is called a running core, if I haven't said that already. Oh my god, I'm all over the place in this video. I'm very excited to unbox this. I didn't script this. I don't know what to say. I literally got this in the mail 20 minutes ago, I think. Whatever. So we're going to put this together. And there we go. Oh, okay. So I did that with my hand, which is obviously possible and acceptable, I would assume. I don't think that damages it, but you can do this with the launcher. I forgot to mention, this is an HMS tool on the end of the launcher here. Unlike Metal Fight, where it was separate, they attached these to the launcher in HMS. And I don't believe Plastic Gen or Burst had any kind of tool, other than, at least in Burst, I know there was a God Chip tool, and there might have been something else. I don't remember. But regardless, you can assemble this with your hands or use the tool to assist. It's pretty much up to you, to my knowledge. Again, you can just pop that in there, let it sit, and I just realized I probably did that completely off camera, but whatever. You get the idea. And then twist, just like that, and it's together. Very simple mechanism, and to my memory, what's really unfortunate is the bit protectors. I think I'm just going to call it a bit chip. These break very easily, and that was one of the reasons HMS died out so quickly. This was, just like Zero G, it did get canceled very early on, and this was the end of Plastic Gen. But regardless, side profile, it's very tall. This is a very tall running core here, especially in comparison to the other ones that I have. For reference, I do have, for other HMS Beyblades, I have Drasil MS, Dronzer MS, and Dragoon MF. And Dragoon MF is another rubber running core, is very, very short in comparison to this one. So probably susceptible to upper attacks, which is why I'm grateful that the AR, it doesn't have like an overhang per se, but it does, it's flush with the weight disc. It's very flat on the bottom there, which is nice. These rollers are positioned a little higher up, so this might do better on a low setup. And that sort of brings me into one thing I wanted to mention. Dragoon and Dronzer got plenty of HMS Beyblades, and by plenty, I mean, there's my dog again barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I certainly can. Dragoon and Dronzer both had MS. Dragoon had MSUV, so that's 2 Dragoons and 1 Dronzer, and then both of them had MF releases. So there were 2 Dronzers and 3 Dragoons in HMS. And what some of you guys, if you're, Plastic Gen HMS fans, there's my other dog barking. I think somebody just got home. Whatever. What you might remember about HMS is that Drasil and Drigger never got MF evolutions, releases, whatever you want to call them. And I feel like Advanced Guardian is kind of what Drasil was supposed to be. It's lacking like the metal ball gimmick, but granted, Drasil MS also lacked a metal ball gimmick. So who knows? Maybe this is like the changing of the season for Drasils. But this is not Drasil, obviously. This is Advanced Guardian MS, and I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Regardless, I do really want to make a custom combo of this to be an evolution to Drasil. So if you guys want to see a video on that, please let me know in the comments, because that is something I want to do for you guys. But if nobody wants to see it, then what's the point? So now that that is assembled, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the stickers from here, and I'm going to apply them as one does, and I'll be right back. And there it is with all the stickers on it. A lot of the changes are pretty minor, such as this little sticker down here that just says Advanced Guardian, which is mirrored on the other side. But I do really like the way this looks with the stickers on it. One thing that I noticed that I didn't mention is even the launchers, even the launchers way back in the day got stickers. There's one for left spin, one for right spin, for anybody who's confused about that, and then just Neo winder on both sides of the winder, which is really cool. I don't think I've seen them do this since like the GT era of Burst, so pretty refreshing in a way to put stickers on a launcher again in a weird way. Back to the Beyblade, I don't think there's actually anything more to say about this. I think this is really sweet. One thing I did notice is that it's very rattly. A lot of these parts are pretty loose, particularly the weight disc. So I think balance tuning these, like people used to in the Metal series, and I think also in Burst, is probably a little bit out of the question, which in a way I do really like, but I also don't, because I don't like the rattling. It makes me feel so insecure, like my Beyblade's about to like friggin' fall, like fly apart. But hey, who knows? It's probably sturdier than I think, and I'm about to take this over to a stadium for a quick spin test. I'll see you there. I'm gonna put this like in at the end of the video or before the spin test, but I did want to point out something very funny to me. On the sticker sheet, there is a running core sticker that straight up says running core on it, which makes it even funnier to me that over here on the box, they still call it a blade base. I don't know, just wanted to throw that in there. I think that's funny. All right, I got out my BB10, which is even more busted and decrepit since the last time I recorded with it. But I've got Advanced Guardian here and my brand new HMS launcher. And I'm going to show off just how this works as well, because not very much HMS content is on YouTube. So what you do is you literally just kind of put that on there. And this is something that really confused me the first time I did it, but it's like locked on there too. There's no way to like twist it off or anything. As far as I know, the only way to get it off is to launch it, which is exactly what I'm about to do. So in 3, 2, 1. So it's pretty calm, very, I would assume it's gonna, like in battle, it would stay in place. The room I'm in right now is very cold. It's the middle of winter in, rural New England. So the rubber is probably pretty hard in comparison to what it's supposed to be. But I know rubber spikes in general tend to really stay in place. If they get hit, they don't move very often. So probably safe to assume that it's less mobile than what you just saw. That being said, this running core is very tall, which again, I assume makes it very susceptible to upper attacks. So I don't know how competitive this is. I don't know how competitive any of this stuff is. I don't know a damn thing about HMS, which is why HMS DB is so helpful, and I'll have to read up on these parts. So now in left spin, because HMS Beyblades do that, these are all dual spin by default. In 3, 2, 1. Again, very similar movement, just going to the left this time. If you guys want to see like custom combos or battles or anything like that for HMS on this channel, please, please, please let me know. I don't have very much HMS stuff. I do really want to get into it. It's very expensive to do so, however. So if that's what you guys want to see me prioritize rather than like cheap Metal Fight unboxings and whatnot, please let me know. That being said, I appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.